Welcome back to the Development Tank, guys. Super pumped to get into it today. We've got side insiders. If you know, you know. Guru Gav's back. He's been shopping on the weekend, so stay tuned for that. Claire's here. Project Snapshot. We're getting into the design, looking at how do we connect with the buyers out there. So obviously, we run through the feasibility, we run through the floor plans, and Claire get into the design, the touch and feel, the stone. How do we make buyers fall in love with the product, which then maximizes that return on investment and that sale price? So stick around for that. That's going to be a ripper. But side insiders, Gav, we bought in Carnegie on the weekend. Gav was there at auction and we bought it well, we think. So let's get into that. Carnegie is a hotspot. Anyone that's been following us, we believe Carnegie is undervalued. We've been in there for a few years now in the Council of Glen Ira. We just think it's less saturated than Bentley East and those sort of areas, still in Glen Ira. But we think Carnegie's a bit untapped. We love its proximity to train and villages and things like that. But we love the reserves and parks and tree-lined streets that we think Carnegie has to offer. So stick around with that. We'll go through the numbers. Gav will tell us how we went on Saturday. He'll tell us his approach at an auction and the way it played out. So super exciting, that one. Let's get into it. Side insiders, if you know, you know. Let's get into it, guys. Side insiders, if you know, you know. Welcome back, Gav.
Back on it.
Back on it, mate. You've got a bit of a spring in your step.
Yeah, look, we won an auction on the weekend for a client.
Well done to you, mate.
Yeah, working with the client for a couple of months now. Had a couple of near misses. No other reason, just a bit unlucky, I think.
Yep.
But yeah, it was successful yesterday.
Yeah, awesome. Great work. And yeah, like you say, working with the client closely for a couple of months now. And like you say, a couple of near misses, but yeah, the whole way through, stick to your guns. You know, you're going to miss some, but you're stuck on the horse. Your eyes were peeled and you found one in sunny Carnegie that had to go to auction.
Yep, that's right. When I first started here a couple of years ago, I remember you saying to me, Carnegie, Gav, Carnegie. Where else? Carnegie.
Well, I think you've come across from the western suburbs, but you're out that way, southeastern suburbs, and the Carnegie area is something that you guys sort of don't mind to frequent by the sounds of it.
Absolutely. Look, before we moved to the west, we lived in Carnegie actually for a couple of years.
Yes, you did. Yes.
Yeah. So and now we're sort of in the southeast corridor there, and we do frequent the Carnegie town centre for our Dragon hot pot and barbecue grill. Doesn't get much better.
Yeah.
But apart from that, it's a great, as you know, it's a great location. We're close to Chatty. We're close, not that far from the city.
Yeah.
Great train station there, and the strip of shops is terrific. There's a major supermarket there.
Yeah.
So typically where you've got and it's a big new supermarket, and there's a couple of other smaller markets there as well. It's just surrounded by basically anything you could want.
Yeah, nice. And yeah, there's no doubt it's a pocket. That pocket near the big park, Packer Park, is an area that, you know, we've got a few sites around there that we're pretty bullish on, and this one's again right near that.
Yeah, that's right. We've got one on Oakley Road, one on Colling Ave. Both are pretty close to completion, I think.
Yeah.
And we went down there and did a look at, actually it was Oakley Road, which I think we've covered off. But more importantly, when I was down there, I really noticed that, you know, Oakley Road and those areas there, they're really quite leafy, you know, wide, clean, all new homes, new properties, or, you know, really well maintained, quiet. It's a really nice area.
Yeah, great. So the clients engaged us. We're finding them a site to develop for investment. Been working with the client, like you said, for a couple of months. We hone in on this one. This is the next one, hoping that it's not going to be another near miss. You know, due diligence is done. It's coming towards auction day. Talk to us. You know, you get to auction day. You know, what's it like, mate? You put your game day shorts on. You know, like you know, what is it? Because you do a lot of the auctions over that side, and you know, sometimes we wax it. But I find any auction that I go to, you know, it's still the heart still pounds through the chest a bit, and it's always high stakes, isn't it?
So we try to avoid auctions where we can.
Yeah.
But in this case, we actually had an off-market property we were looking at for this client.
Yeah.
We just couldn't quite get the stars to align. The vendor had to go overseas for a bit. It was put on hold. I had this one in the background, doing the numbers on it. Felt pretty comfortable with it. But as you know, if we've got something off market and then something that's on market, we always prefer to try and snare the off market opportunity first. That said, this one's actually probably in a better location, I think. You'd agree with that. So leading up probably a week out, we just went back, revisited the numbers. I was already talking to the client about it. We worked pretty hard on the numbers. We did our due diligence, went down there, had a walk around and felt like really comfortable with the site as a development site, no doubt. They were asking, this is 5 Gilbert Grove in Carnegie. So they were asking 135 to 1485, I believe.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Yep. So we were thinking, look, it's going to be somewhere between 1.5 and 1.6, and the comms with the agent sort of led me to think that that's where it was going to be. My understanding was that the reserve was not over the top, so we went back and forth. Obviously, internally, we challenged it. Spoke to the client as well. We knew what their budget was, and we had a fairly healthy number above the range that was advertised. So we knew that we were half a shot.
Yeah, 100%. I think we definitely had those conversations internally, and and with our client. And fair to say, I think we were probably prepared to pay a little bit more for sure than what it was. Like we were pretty, I know myself, I was probably pretty bullish with it. Just the court location, proximity to park, and even as we know in Glen Ira, if you can get sort of 16 metre plus frontage and that sort of 635, I think it was 635 square metres, that's equaling a good development site, in my eyes. So, I was pretty keen on it. As were you. You got there that morning. You met the client out there. Can you talk us through that?
Yeah, sure. So I like to go out to sites a little bit early, even though I've walked the area before. I just like to drive up and down the street, get another feel for what we're sort of engaging in. It really just confirmed all of my thoughts, and it's also something that I relayed to the client the day before, just talking about the streets and the serenity, if you like. And sure enough, the client was there. First thing pretty much he said to me when I walked up to him was, I think you were right about this area. He really could see the value that we saw in just the location. He was wrapped. So just did a quick walk through the property, not too fussed about what's inside, more just went out the back and just double checked, make sure that there's no big buildings out the back overlooking and those sorts of things. But
I think, Gav, even we've spoken about it in previous weeks, and we'll continue to talk about it. You go out there and you are the buyer. You without the townhouses there, essentially, obviously the townhouses aren't there, but you go there and go, look at the court. What's the court going to be like? And it's a wide court, it's a wide street. It's got setbacks, it's got nature strips, it's got trees. You can sort of see the park. Even though you haven't got direct access to it, you see the park, you appreciate the trees that are in it. And even I think you said to me as we're on the phone on that Saturday morning before the auction, you said, "Pete, I can't hear anything.
Yeah,
it's quiet. It's so quiet." And Saturday morning can be known for people running around and with kids' sport and that sort of stuff. So all those things are just gold and give you confidence that in 2 years' time, when you finish your development, buyers are going to have that same experience.
Yeah, and if you're a young family buying a property, which is probably what we'd be targeting in this location, having that court, there's only maybe 20 houses down the street, and you get to know everyone quite quickly, and they get to know you, they get to know your kids, they get to know when your kids are out in the street playing cricket. So it gives you that sort of security. The property literally 150 metres away at Oakley Road, we're doing, it's probably around 31, 32 squares, quite a bit bigger.
Yeah.
So, and you can see the park from the development. So, great location. But, Oakley Road is a bit busier.
Yeah.
So our townhouses, we're probably looking at something closer to 28 squares. But what we do have is we've got that, the security and the quietness of that court, but yet still the park's literally 100 metres around the corner.
Oh, that's right.
There's two or three of them, in fact.
Yeah, 100%. So, love all that. So you speak to the client, you lock yourself in, how to, it's something we talk about a little bit. How do, we always, we don't challenge ourselves, but I don't think both of us have got a way that we bid at auctions that we have an exact way we start. We sort of feel our way at the start, how the auctioneer opened it and just, take us on that journey from when he opened it to the hammer drop, mate, and you and your client were the lucky purchaser.
Yeah, look, this one was a little different to Parkmore, which we've spoken about earlier on the podcast. In that particular example, I went in early. Sometimes the agents don't mind if you get it started, and just sort of participated all the way through. In this case here, they started the first bid. Actually, someone else bid, and the first bid was quite low. And I thought, look, it's just not going to be on market yet. And I knew that it would be on market at some stage because I knew that the reserve, the agent said the reserve was, really reasonable. So we just waited until then. And then and it was pretty quick, to be honest. I think it was on the market for, it would have been close to 1.4. It was, quite low.
So it was a genuine seller.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, and then there was probably 2 bidders not long after that, and it sort of got down to $10,000 increments. And I just thought, look, I'll jump in here. And my strategy typically is to present to everyone that's at the auction that I've got the deepest pockets in the room.
Yeah. So you go hard.
Absolutely, yeah. I'll always go back, and that's why it was good at around 10,000 because I don't mind just jumping back in at 10,000 every time. I don't want to be seen turning to my client and is that all right? Because we've got a number, we know where we want to get to, and if I get to that number and it's still going, that's fine.
Yeah,
we'll find the next one.
Yeah,
but up until that number, I'll make it
You're
seem
not
as
stopping.
though I'm going to take this property to that day, no matter what.
Yeah,
and that's more or less how it played out. There was another gentleman in the end with a family, I think, and I could tell pretty early on that he was struggling a bit. Again, they're just talking to each other in between bids, and I just shot back and pretty much. If they would have thought for sure that this guy's going to be here all day.
Not going to stop. I think, for me, the psychology around that is that the majority of the focus is on them because they're the ones that have to question whether they're going to go again. And that, each bid they make, they look at you and hope you're not going to come back. But you come back straight away, then suddenly the spotlight's on them again and they're umming and ahhing whether they go again. So I think it's so important for the punters playing at home and going to auctions, you need to figure out where your limit is, go there prepared. And even we even go, that's our limit. But if we're slowing down, we've got approval to go another 5 or 8. Yeah. So somewhere around that, but that's if you're going down to ones. But I think anyone going to an auction, you got to know your number. You got to have done there can't be any questions left in your mind. Oh, is it a nice street? Oh, can I fit my development on it? How big's my development going to be? All these sort of questions, they all need to be done. And it's simply the auctioneer, you and your limit, and you just go hard.
Yeah, all that work should be done up until you get the number.
Yeah.
And after that, it's just a matter of how the day plans out. You just don't know. There may have been 2 or 3 other developers there on that particular day. It turns out they weren't. That's fine. You
got to look like you want it. You want it the most.
Yeah.
So, well done, Gav. And, successful. Great to get that text when you say, successful client. And I think, the client was very happy with the price. So were we.
Absolutely. Yeah. Look, we came in, quite a few tens under where we could have ended up. So he was wrapped. He was absolutely wrapped.
Yeah, no, awesome. Another happy client here at Little Fish, and looking forward to bringing those floor plans, design, builds, results, the whole thing to you guys. And really love that court location. Like I love all the other ones we've got in Carnegie, but that court location has got a wide street, I feel like. Yeah. And like you said, even though you're not running across to the park and accessing it directly, you can smell the park. You can see see the tree line of the park. It's fantastic.
It's not just a great park, but it's also you've got Duncan McKinnon Reserve, which is literally on the other side.
Yes,
and that's got netball, athletics tracks, state of the art facilities.
Yeah,
it's another great facility, I guess, really for families and for activities.
Yeah, no, couldn't agree more. Very bullish on the area. So let's dive in. Let's dive into our trusty land checker, and then we'll get to the feasibility. That's for you, Fish.
All right, let's find out exactly where we are. Again, from the city, about 12 kilometres, probably getting familiar. We do like the area and do have a couple of sites down this way.
See, look at that. Look at the green, Gav.
There you go. So that's all
Plonk
right.
yourself right amongst the grain.
So that's a terrific park there. That's Duncan McKinnon Reserve just there. We can probably just do a bit of high res to get us a bit more clarity.
There's no excuse not to be out walking and running and cricket and footy with the kids. Where if you're living here, Gav.
Even a velodrome, if that's if that tickles your fancy. And there's the Duncan McKinnon Reserve that probably doesn't look as great as what it is. It must be a really old photo, but the track is it's very, very busy down there on the weekends and well used. So coming back out again. So Carnegie Town Centre, just up here, train station. Virginia Park there, that's McKinnon High School just over here. This particular site is zoned for Glen Ira Secondary College and McKinnon Primary School.
Nice.
Yep. So coming in here, so we've got something just over the road here, I think it is.
Yeah.
Road. And another one just down here. But this particular site here, so we've got a 16.16 metre frontage, which is...
For me, in Glen Ira, with reasonable setbacks, that's nice.
Yeah, hard to find, absolutely. So if I just open up our info here. So 635 square metres. It's actually 2 titles. There's another lot of land just at the back here, which has an easement running through it. There is a couple of metres of fall on this site now, which is not common for Glen Ira. But in the build zone, we'd probably think we've got about a metre to consider. And it's even like there's quite a lot of lift just here in the way that they've prepared the site for the house originally. So it's fairly flat when you get your 5 or 6 metres back. So yeah, we've got an allowance in the feasibility, which we'll touch on in a sec, for the fall. But apart from that, it's pretty much a slam dunk.
Yeah, it's a ripper. Not really like it.
I don't think there's any other. I know there wasn't any. There's
crossovers
no trees.
Work. Yeah, no
crossovers
trees.
there.
Crossovers work.
No
I think the
pole.
townhouses to the south, even though they have got small private open spaces, our due diligence suggests that, it won't be an issue. And I just think with that width in a site, it just does give you that bit of flexibility in your design if you do want to sneak off the boundary a little bit to the south there.
Yeah.
But yeah, due diligence checks out. Both be reasonable size, 4-bed, 28 squares.
28
I think
squares,
you mentioned earlier.
Probably up to about 28. Designer believes.
Yeah. No,
Which
fantastic,
is great.
mate. No, really like it. And that's the thing. You just zoom out just a touch. Your nature strips. It's a wide street. There's there's a handful of properties past your property in that street. No one's whizzing past.
No.
Really.
We were
feeling good.
We were sitting in the at the table in the house after the auction, and just sort of working out all the paperwork. And we were probably there for maybe half an hour, 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And I was sitting looking out towards the street, and the whole time that I was sitting there, I didn't see one car. Not one car. You couldn't hear a thing. It was just unbelievable.
Yeah. No. I love that. Just stamping the right decision. So perfect. So
and just one other thing as well. This house across the road here, I think it was that one there, that had a planning permit, I think, for a large single home. So already really nice dwellings on the street.
Yeah.
But again, that's just going to raise the value of everything on the street if you've got a big, nice, beautiful, 5-bedroom house going up.
No, that's right. And you can see people seeing value, in investing sort of in the area. And that's the thing. We see a fair bit of that through Carnegie. I think you mentioned it as well. There's plenty of sort of renovators through there because you do get like a Californian bungalow type style and architecture around the place. But then also you do have them that, knock them down, put new houses, a bit of sprinkler development as well. So a lot of it is nicely kept.
No, we like Glen Ira.
All right, Gav, we've got the Feaso here.
All right, let's have a look at the feasibility here. So we picked up the site for $1,560,000. We definitely had a bit more in the kitty for that one. It was a 100-day settlement, and that was because the vendor actually ended up buying another property, and that's more or less settling on the day before or the day they're settling on their new property. So still 100 days is great.
Yep.
Moving through now, so standard planning costs, project management fee based on the construction cost. We're allowing $25,000 a square.
Yes.
Down there, I've also got this additional $30,000 for earthworks, for retaining walls and design implications and so forth. But we think that should be absolutely fine. This particular buyer, it's just a couple. They had cash for the purchase of the land, and then they'll be getting a residential loan for the construction. So not too much in the way of holding costs. We've got our resales at just under $2 million, which then brings us to a $457,000 net profit.
Yeah.
And about 13.5 ROI.
Yeah, nice. And I think when I look at that, a couple of other properties that we got going to market in Carnegie, I feel like that sub 2 number, I think it's super achievable, knowing and having the confidence of what the product will bring in that court location. That'll be, I just can't wait. That'll be super sought after, I think, that cul-de-sac location and the frontage that we'll bring. So I think we'll be looking more in the optimistic column myself, but can't wait to see it play out. So
yeah, I think it'll be a fairly easy 15+% ROI in a couple of years.
Yeah, correct. No. Well done, Gav. Great site, and we stay very, very buoyant and bullish down in that area. Like you said, a couple going to market in the next few months. But yeah, really rapt to have this Gilbert one in their court location. I think it'll go really well.
And most importantly, very happy client.
Very happy client, mate. 100%. They'd ridden the bumps a little bit and missed out on a couple. But when you set your limits, you stick to your guns and you keep looking and sort of nose to the grindstone and you found the site, we did the work, and it paid off, mate.
Yeah, you got to show up on auction day.
Yeah, 100%. No, it was good, mate. I think definitely some value there, and most importantly, happy client. So thanks for that. Site insiders, if you know, you know. Gav will be back next week, maybe buying more sites. Who knows? He's on a bit of a run at the moment. But yeah, thanks for your efforts, Gav, and great content today. Good work.
See you next week.
Good on you, Gav. Site insiders, if you know, you know. All right, guys, back. Project Snapshot. Claire's back up here. An exciting one. Like I said in the intro, we're getting into the design. How do you make your property stand out? We get the FISO done, we buy the site, the plans are done, planning permits done. We need the buyers and the market to fall in love with it, but not spend the world. That is the magic of developing. Claire's here to unpack it and dive into it, and an exciting project to boot. Claire, thanks for joining us again.
Thanks for having me.
Now, a topic we haven't covered on the development tank yet. We've been more sort of feasibility, sites, town planning, plans, all this sort of stuff. Fair to say this is probably one of your most favourite parts of the process.
Yes, I love interiors. I wanted to be an interior designer, but I've somehow ended up here. But every step of the way, even back as far as university, I just love the interior process. I think I've learnt to appreciate it more in development, because especially in townhouse development, where you've got very similar dwellings, you can really create personality through your colours, your materials, the products you use. I also think it's probably the point where you're starting to draw in emotion from buyers. While we don't want to overspend on interiors, there's some niceties which you'll see when we jump in, that you can create these nice spaces where people fall in love with.
Yeah, 100%. And I think what I've learned over the development journey is I've seen our product, I suppose, evolve, but I've really seen the value of it. We buy these sites, we do the feasibilities for them, we do the town planning, get the plans right, all this sort of stuff's well and good, but unless you can get those colours and tones and feels right inside the dwelling, you're not going to get those prices that you need. Such an important part of it. And this interior design part is something we've worked on here at Little Fish, relationships and those sorts of things. And it's definitely something that's been high on our list. I think we're there, we've arrived, and we're definitely delivering some awesome products. And we're here to talk about one of them today. What I want to know, Claire, is where does it fit from a macro point of view? Where does it fit inside the project? When do you start thinking about it? And when does your interior designer get engaged?
Yeah, great question, because I suppose from that initial design and town planning process where we try to fast track it, get into council, we don't get bogged down on interiors at that stage. While we think about the overall layout and we sort of understand the flow, it's not a point where we're spending weeks saying to our architect, change this, I don't want the sink there, because it's just wasted time.
Yep.
It's all about exterior, site coverage, all the things council care about at that stage. But what we do is once we get RFI back, we get some confidence from council, we go to advertising, we get some confidence from the community, then it's at a point where we're generally pretty confident on that we're going to get through and we're going to get a permit. We like to get Build Her Collective on board.
Yeah, shout out Beck. And that's the thing. They've been a revelation for our business. There's no question. They started doing our specs and really the lion's share or all of our specs essentially. Maybe nearly 3 years ago. I think I remember where I was walking my twin boys actually around in a pram talking to Beck and just trying to figure it out because we had struggled to find great interior designers, but at a reasonable price that made sense for our clients. So anyway, but yes, they've come on board. They've leveled up the product. I enjoy seeing this stage come to life as well.
And they're so great to work with because they do developments themselves. So they have a very good mindset.
Will they pay for things?
Yeah, exactly. They know what things cost, and they also care about the resale and the money back. So they understand, maybe while putting in a hero stone in the kitchen, you don't need to carry that through the rest of your house. Like you can lower it because, as we know, kitchens, living rooms, they usually sell houses.
Yeah, 100%. I think that knowledge and when they spec things, they're looking at the return on investment. I think that's super important. Yeah, you need to play both sides, and Build Her have definitely got that. I think maybe there's an episode in that, an interiors specialised episode where we get Beck in, niche in her field, expert in her field, get yourself back, and we dive into the importance of interior design in property development.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
There's an episode. Jump in the comments. Let us know, Fish, Brian, Maxie, you're all out there. If that's an episode, we'll bring that to you in the coming weeks. Now, Claire, can we hone in on the project that you've picked out?
Yeah, so 9 Tarwin Avenue, Hampton East.
Bang.
I would say we're looking at a higher end spec. We're probably getting, if someone doesn't end up in Hampton, they end up in Hampton East. So they're probably... consumers are probably expecting what is next door, right? Yeah,
for sure. I think, definitely $2 million plus residences. So, they need to be done to a level. And when you're paying that sort of money for a property, there is expectation. So, definitely a good one to get the interior designers in and, have some niceties in there.
And I think, like you said earlier, what we've found over the years, like you said, we've leveled up a little bit in terms of finished product. I think there's a couple of reasons for that. Would be construction costs have gone up, but there is only so much you can do by changing materials internally in terms of bringing costs down. The main costs are in the build itself. So if you're gonna, I hear you say it all the time, if you're going to spend 1.4 or 1.5 on a build, don't pull out $20,000 to lower your product and pull away what I said before, all those finishes that draw emotion and draw a buyer to go, I have to have that house.
Yeah, correct. Save 20 in your build, but cost yourself 50 in each property. So it's cost yourself 100. So,
and you're still spending 148 on a build.
Yeah, correct. You're doing this, you're doing the development. It's going to cost, it's proper money for this stuff these days more than ever. So make sure they're good. Make sure you put your best foot forward and the market falls in love with them. And you get good money for them. Yeah,
so I think that's been a driver in changing and pushing the product, but also consumers know what they're buying these days. And that's really important.
It's such a competitive marketplace. There's other product out there. So wherever you're developing, I think it's important, you never overcapitalize, but I think you always want to separate yourself from the other product that's out there because it's that supply and demand ratio and relationship that if we can get ourselves above, suddenly you get away a few of the competition and you minimize the competition, which then hopefully drives your price up. So, it's definitely a good endeavor to get those interior designers on board, but it's important you get a team that appreciate your budget and appreciate that there needs to be a return on investment with this stuff. So, exciting, Claire. Now, this is a big house. These are big homes, which is exciting.
I reckon a year ago or maybe 6 to 12 months ago, these were my favourite development here. I've probably a couple of taken over, but it has everything. Tarwin Ave, I love it. The location's good, but also the floor plans are great. So you'll notice just quickly on floor plans, we won't go heavily into it, but there are a few changes we made at that interior stage. Nothing to do with exterior, but we pushed the boundaries internally to create just a better flow of spaces and understand how people use their spaces.
Yeah, great.
That's all where you think about it now.
Yeah, nice. So just to cover off, and for people playing at home, we get the design done. We get to 80%, 85%. We get into council, times money, we get that flowing. But when you get to interiors stage, and you're pretty much there, probably 90% to be honest. But you are aware that there could be some little changes, that when you engage your interiors team, that there could be some benefits and some little advantages that you do look to implement at that interiors stage around that notice of decision, planning permit, that sort of space. And they're the little changes you look to make into the process. Because I think for anyone at home, to worry about those little 1%ers before you've got a permit, before council have run their eye over it, before you've figured out if you've got any real heavy objections from the community, I think it can definitely be wasted time and money if you're paying a designer to make those changes. So I think, yeah, it's definitely part of the process that we've learned over the years is get it through 90% and then make the tweaks that you're about to talk about now.
So looking from, say, the meals area towards the kitchen, it's not a very long kitchen. So to remove this cavity, like I said, you play with more joinery, more stone, more material, which creates a bigger space overall. But you still get the privacy of having a pantry, but you get this seamless look, especially from back here. This view, when it comes to rendering shots, will be a really seamless look and feel bigger, and an end product will feel much open.
Yeah, correct. And I think the specifications we're about to get into, having more of that joinery and more of that stone, definitely creates depth of field, and a bit more high end. And cavity slider, you can do them well, don't get me wrong, but functionally they get a bit clunky, finishing them off, closing them properly. Do you leave them open? Do you leave them shut? Do you leave them half open? I don't know. I think it can be one of those items that you never really shut it and it just lives in its pocket. And obviously, that area is not really that finished. Bulkheads and track above, all those sorts of things I think can just be...
Here.
Yeah, correct. I think just details that you don't need, joinery and stone for the win.
Exactly. And then another point, so we've moved the fridge just behind the kitchen. Again, like I said, this isn't a massive face-on kitchen where your stone is. So imagine a fridge in here. You've got minimal bench space. This is also a great way to not spend money on an integrated fridge because the idea is that you want your kitchen to showcase your entire space, but a fridge doesn't do that.
Yeah, correct. And as we know, integrated fridges, thousands and thousands of dollars more rather than just getting, your nice big silver fridge, tuck it in the corner, still looks okay, but it's really not part of that shot.
Something else that we look at this stage is entrances. So when we get to the elevations, I'll show you about creating drop zones, is this a family home? Do we need hooks for kids? Do we need hooks for coats? But creating more spaces that, I can hear Beck say it, more special moments, creating special moments throughout your dwelling.
Yeah, wow. There you go. Yeah, looking at it like that, special moments everywhere you go. And that's the thing, like we do a lot of townhouses, but to have that study at the front, like that is a secluded study. That's just another room downstairs. That master downstairs is proper, laundry, direct access outside, powder, pantries, kitchen, meals. That living is proper space down there, and then sort of your half covered al fresco out there, just perfect. Letting the natural light in for half of it, but then the practicalities of having it covered here in Melbourne for those winter months and still being able to entertain with the barbecue and enjoy the space out there. I can see why this is one of your favourites.
We'll get to this. You'll see this in the renders when we get to it, but these doors open both ways. So this becomes an indoor-outdoor living.
Epic.
We've got floor to ceiling glass with 2.7 ceilings, I believe. But the feeling of we couldn't achieve 3 meters in this living area, but to do floor to ceiling glass, it's going to feel like 3 meters.
It does. Yeah, no, I've seen it and it feels really good. And upstairs just, looks just as big and ticks all the boxes. Another one of our exciting projects for sure.
Okay, so jumping to elevations, just to give everyone a bit of an overview of what Build Her do for us, or what your interior designer will do for you. You'll get essentially, to put it simply, you'll get a view of every wall in your dwelling. So floor plans can only give you so much information. You might have dimensions of exactly where your stovetop is, your sink is, your fridge is, but do we know heights of, for example, your splashback? And do we know what material is on your splashback? We can say that we have built townhouses without elevations, and whilst you can still protect the product by, probably the only way is to be on site more. That's the only way to protect your product, is to be on site. Whereas having elevations, you've always got a fallback to say, this is what I expected, was full stone. I wanted drawers on either side, not cupboards. But it just means everyone's on the same page.
Yeah, correct. I agree. And that's the thing, even if you are on site and the joinery rocks up, it's too late, so you can identify it. But, we've learnt over the years that this is super important. And your builder, your cabinet maker, there'll all be proper shop drawings done and that sort of stuff. But this level of detail gives you a fallback to say, hey, this is what I expect, builder. Builder says great. Or if something isn't as per plan, at least you've got something to say, hey, we did agree that it would be done like this. So super important part of the process for sure.
And it's going back to having the documentation to ensure your builders are all pricing the same, right? Which we've spoken about. Something else I want to touch on. So the island bench, this is a really good example of Build Her Collective knowing, creating probably a visual appeal in the kitchen, but instead of having a full slab, what is that, 3 meters by 900, instead of having a full slab stone on the back, add tiles in, add the same tiles that you're using in your bathroom, have some efficiencies that way. It'll still be, I actually love a island bench covered in tiles, but it is a way to bring that cost down.
Yeah, 100%, and keep it high end rather than going back to a veneer or a laminate. You are still staying in those nice to touch and feel finishes, but use your leftover tiles from your bathroom, and keeping that continuity throughout the house, I think is super important. So nice little tip there.
And that's exactly what it is. It's that touch and feel. Like when someone goes through this house at the end, you want to touch the tiles, you want to touch the stone. It's exactly what you want on a finished product. And
that's the thing, it's just that bit of extra thought, like it's easy to design an island bench and it just be a laminate or a veneer or whatever you're using there and that there and that there. But when you get to the end, you really go, the interior design and that effort you put in, people will appreciate it. And that's going back to what I was talking about before, separating your product from the other product that is out on the market. So these little bits and bobs, like I said, we buy the sites, you do the FISO, you do the town planning, all that sort of stuff. This is dialing it right into the materials you use on your island bench, which when a family's going through at the end and you've got the husband, you've got the wife, you've got the kids, all that sort of stuff, the thought and effort that goes into these products, that's what's going to connect and have them coming back to see the product again and hopefully making you a huge offer.
I feel like we're going to need another few episodes on interiors because I could go through these in detail, but I think we should jump to the mood boards.
Let's jump to the mood boards. Let's see the colours. But we can definitely circle back. And like we said, let us know. Build Her Collective, Beck Morgan, superstar. Let's get her on and let's do an episode. Let's do a 30, 40 minute on all these details and why you would use an interior designer. A smart one.
Yeah, I love it.
All right, mood boards, colours.
Okay, mood boards. So we did light and dark in this development. I think I've said earlier, you don't have to do that, but we really wanted to create two identities here. And we often say, if you get it right, keep it the same. But I think we got it right in both. So I'm
Yeah,
happy
yeah,
with them.
I don't mind that at all, and the townhouses are quite similar in nature, so to make them a bit different, but like you say, you got to nail both, which I think you have.
So we've got a light scheme for Unit 1, which we'll show you renders on, and then a dark scheme, which I love the dark scheme, for Unit 2. One thing I want to say though, keep some efficiencies. So flooring, exactly the same in both. Carpet, the same in both. The joinery is the same in both. There's a few tiles that are the same, but it's your stone and your tapware and things that make the big changes in terms of overall scheme and some feature tiles that create the differences. I think with like flooring and carpet, I don't see massive changes in terms of cost savings if I was to have two different. I've done the exercise before. I've tried to get efficiencies. You just don't with a dual lock. There's not huge efficiencies, but what it does do is it makes it easier for the builder, which you would know will have a sharper price. So
yeah, for sure. You want to make their life somewhat easier. And that's what it always is. It's, return on investment. So make your builder's job hard, pay more. Make their job easier. But like you say, a couple of different slabs of stone for each unit, couple of different pallets of tiles, same tiler, that sort of thing. And like you say, if you get the scheme right, which both schemes are right, the core to each scheme is right, you've just dialed a lighter and a darker one just with a couple of your features items there. I think it's a ripper. And not to mention, you go into market with a couple of different products, you get the feedback for not a great change in cost. And also I love the idea of, say there's two for sale, which one's which, they have got their own townhouse. It's individual in nature. You can't buy each one of these Tarwin Avs, you can't buy anywhere else. And you know what? The one sitting next to it is different to that one as well. So really, they're sort of one of a kind once you do dial in that spec and give them their own personality.
yeah, absolutely. And this is going back to Build Her being smart, that if you can do a light and dark scheme but still keep the flooring the same, like that's smart design.
Yeah, no, I love it. And I'm loving these. Geez, I'm liking that dark stone. Wow,
I know, I really like that.
And the tiles. Yeah, really nice.
We will show you that on camera shortly. I just want to get your head around this because I'll show you the renders quickly.
Great.
Okay, so Unit 1, light scheme. This is the kitchen.
Renders. That's exciting. How good does that look?
What do you notice first about the direction of where we're standing with this render?
Well, it's what you said earlier regarding the deletion of the cavity slider. And how good does that look? The stone and the flow through there and no busyness and nib walls and track. So, yeah, understand where you've gone there for sure.
If you're going to spend the money with the stone, the joinery, these feature handles, it needs to be showcased from where you're living.
Yeah, no, couldn't agree more. Looks amazing. Splashback looks great. I think, yeah, the introduction of tiles on the back of the island bench there, amazing. And even to the right there, bit of splashback into a tile above that, and even some LED lights floating around. So, really feeling high end with this.
And again, you don't see a fridge here. I think everyone at home's going to question why the fridge is in the pantry. It's really not that far. When you get here, it's literally right behind these chopping boards. So if you're thinking it's too far to walk, this is all flow space. You've got your sink here, you've got your cooking here, and your fridge is right behind here. It's not far.
Correct. But please jump in the comments if you think any of this should have been done differently. We're here for feedback. But I agree with you totally. The fridge is right there, right next to your pantry. And for aesthetics, it's a win. So that is important as well.
Okay, now let's go. Here's the living room. So this is, again, why I love this property. It's not, I suppose this area isn't major when it comes to the interior process, but this glass, I love it.
Yeah, amazing. And this showcases more so the design efforts, that you guys have been able to achieve. I think, obviously still having the post in the middle there is obviously mitigating cost and structure. If that was to be fully floating and fully open, that cost would be quite amazing, but still achieving the same thing here and loving the sheer curtains as well. So, looks spot on. And like you said, with those floor plans, they're proper spaces. That living is proper living. There's no question, because we always question, is it big enough? Is it big enough? What are the sizes? What's it comparable to? But that living is all sorts of good size.
Really good. And on a summer day, you open this, it's like doubled in size.
Yeah, amazing. No, love that. Well done. Have we got any more renders? Here we go.
We have the master. So what we've done is cut from, if you can remember, just flip back to the floor plans, but you've got the ensuite leading obviously from the master area, and sort of if in front of us, you've got your walk-in robe as you walk in, but great size ensuite, double vanity. If you can achieve a double vanity in your master, personally, it doesn't worry me, but buyers want it.
Buyers love it. I think it is a sign of opulence. It does have a high-end feel, and it create, it is sort of spacious. It is that sort of his and hers, and it has a way of sort of equaling the vanity out. I think, one on each side. But yeah, fantastic. Love the tiles, sort of halfway up the wall. Then the feature tiles above that. That's a shelf there as well. Yeah, fantastic. Fantastically practical, but yeah, wow, it looks good.
Now, something I just want to quickly touch on feature tiles. We've got them on 2 walls here. You do not need them on every wall, because if you've got 4 wet rooms, it adds up. 4 walls. That is one thing that I've noticed. It's not just the cost of the feature tiles, the labour to install little tiles versus large format. It's one thing that I see when we do value manage or we look at savings. It adds up for in my opinion, no real benefit.
So obviously this room, as most rooms do, have 4 walls. Is it fair to say they're the 2 walls with the feature tiles, and the walls that are adjacent to it that we can't see won't have the feature tile?
Correct. And that, you know what, this is probably a good segue. Maybe we need to talk about renders in one episode. But if you can design and think about what you're selling and how you're going to sell it, no one's going to see the other 2 if they buy this off the plan.
Yeah, agree. It's
not about hiding it. It's just about only putting money where you're going to showcase it and where you're going to get money back.
Yeah, correct. And that's the thing. I think it's being smart, like a feature tile is a feature because it's not everywhere as well. So for me, a feature tile needs to be exclusive. So let's not just put it everywhere, because that loses its appeal if you see it too often. So I think, a couple of walls, that's fine, but also saving some money on not putting it everywhere. So smart developing, it's what it's all about.
That's a really good point. I can hear Sasha. Sasha, money aside, downstairs, she doesn't like that many feature tiles. Yeah. So it's also a matter of opinion. It's
a feature. Now, renders look amazing. This project is under construction. It's coming to life. Bonnie, can we get in here, get that off the screen and come in here, because we've got the touch and feels here. This is what Build Her do for us, for all our clients and for our sales campaigns and those sorts of things. But they've got the samples, touch and feel. I think it means a lot, especially when selling off the plan. This is definitely required just to build the buyer's confidence and make them fall in love to get an off the plan sale done.
It's like Christmas when these boxes turn up.
Okay, Claire, let's get into the boxes. Like you say, it is Christmas, but it is nice to touch these. Get in nice and close here, Bonnie. So we've got the 2 schemes.
So what you're touching, that's that dark stone. What's the name of that on the back?
That would be called your Damascus honed.
That's it. So that is a Signorino stone paired with, again, in the dark scheme, that's going to be in your kitchen.
Amazing.
Paired with your gunmetal tapware.
Love the gunmetal range.
Love it. As well, then, if we can hold this with your feature tile.
That's fire.
On 2 walls only.
That's fire, isn't it?
It's so nice.
So good.
I know we don't have renders of the dark, but what's interesting is in the kitchen what they've done, because this is quite dominating, right? And more expensive than the other stone you're picking up. We've done a splashback with stone, 20mm stone and tiles. So a combination.
Yeah, loving it. And you know what? I've carried on about the black, but the white looks really nice as well, 100%. So something for everyone here, for sure.
And I think the dark, I love the dark, But I would say if you were going out to the masses and really wanting to play it safe, you go the light. And I think that's why it's a great combo to do one of each.
Yeah,
I
correct.
wouldn't be confident. I wouldn't be confident putting that across 2.
So if you had one home there, it'd be the white.
I think so.
Yeah, okay.
So.
Fair enough.
But I shouldn't say that because I would pick this colour scheme before the white.
Yeah, there you go. No, great insights. And yeah, like you say, this is a little bit like Christmas. It is nice to touch and feel and see what they are. And even just to have clients, especially owner-occupiers that we do a lot of work for, to have them set on something, touch and feel, and then have confidence to move forward with their build and their contract, this is an important part of the process.
Exactly the same across both, but works with both.
Both,
Again,
yeah.
Really smart design.
Both winners, and we're not spending any more money than we have to.
Now, I touched on this earlier. This engineered stone, it's a bit of a different game now as it was when we were designing this, but it might not be engineered stone. It might be a lesser value natural stone. They are bringing out engineered stone with no silica, so that is an option. But it's more just about putting these in the hero spaces, master ensuite living,
yes,
or kitchen, I should say, and then dropping it back everywhere else.
Yeah, 100%. Smart developing, as we always say. Well, thanks for that, Claire. Great insights into design, being smart with your spaces and smart with your floor plans, and a little touch on off-the-plan sales and render presentation and sort of thinking that through. So like you said earlier, there's plenty more to go through there and a lot more episodes in that, but that's just a nice touch into how to make your property stand out, how to get all these things right so you can maximize that return on investment. So thanks, Claire. Thanks for coming up and going through that. I think plenty more to talk about in design.
Yeah, plenty more. And let's get back on.
Let's get back on. Yeah,
Thanks for having me.
Your favourite topic. No worries at all. It is an exciting one. And as some of these projects wrap up and come to life that we're covering, it'd be great to get in there and we'll do a development tag from inside the finished product. We'll get the people that have been involved in it and we can genuinely have live shots and see it sort of come to life. So, thanks, Claire. We'll see you again next week.
Thanks, Peter.
Thanks, guys. Please share that with anyone who's going to get value. There was so much value in, the site acquisition, really diving into Gav, auction day, what it looks like, how he responded on auction day and how we won that property. And then that design in Project Snapshot with Claire, I think super important to get these things right and engage the right people. And essentially you can buy the property as good as you want. You can plan it. You can get the plans. You get the town planning permit. But unless you can have your buyer really attached to the property and feel the feels, it's going to be hard to get your sale price. So super important segment and there's going to be plenty more coming your way. Heaps of value in that. Heaps more design coming your way. Happy developing.